Hi everybody, welcome to today's webinar where we'll talk a little bit about the Intelligent Fastener Extension available in Creo. So just a quick agenda about what we will be discussing today. So we're going to talk about how to use the IFX or Intelligent Fastener Extension. So I'll walk you through the interface, show you how to add fasteners, dowel pins and things like that. So we'll start with a quick introduction of boundary systems, or maybe my first self, and then we'll move on to boundary. So I'm Pierre Venter. I'm a technical specialist of boundary systems. I've been using Creo for about 8 years now on the manufacturing side and a little bit of design work as well. So if you combine those, it's about 10 years that I'm using PTC products now. So a little bit about boundary system. So this is some of the customers that we serve. Most of our capabilities is within the product lifecycle management area. We help them with data management, CAD design and consulting. We do some simulation work for them as well, and then product development as well. So then some of the major accreditations we have, I think the important ones here are the Winchell stuff or the PTC related things. So we are a Winchell certified implementer. We're also a PTC preferred service provider and also PTC training partner. Then again, some of the solutions we offer, I think the main focus is on the PTC stuff, but then we do solid thinking, EdRage, and ZWCAD as well. Okay, then I've got two slides on the intelligent fastener things. I think it's just important to know that there's two different versions of this. There's a light module that's available. I think it became available in Creo 3, and obviously it's in the latest version as well of Creo 5. The light module does not support certain things. So things like dowel pins, you can't customize it. It won't do automatic updates and things like that. And you can't use external references, and then you can't adjust the screw orientation. So things like wing nuts and things like that, as you place it, it's going to sit like that. Where with the full version, you can manipulate all of that. Okay. So then I'm not going to do a full customized demo, so I won't be adding things into the IFX bits. So I'm just going to use this slide and talk a little bit about that. So it's important to understand how the intelligent fastener uses certain information. So as soon as you understand that, then it's a lot easier to go and customize it or make changes to it. So the main thing, it's using start parts. So I'm just going to go to one slide back. So like the bolts and the nuts that you see that. So that's actual parts that it's using. Okay, and then those parts are defined in a text file, and then that text file is used to drive that particular part. So it's going to change length. It can go from a let's call it an M5 to an M6 and so on. So the structure of these text files is actually driving your library. Okay, so that's just an important thing that you need to realize. So if you're going to take a certain bolt and you're going to customize it, or a wing nut or spring washer or whatever the case might be, always start with what's already there. So you're going to copy existing text files, and then you're going to add your information in there. Okay, so I think that's the two slides that I want to focus on before jumping into the demo. So maybe take a quick snapshot of this slide. So that's my information. If you have any technical questions, you can just shoot me a mail. I'll answer it. If I can't answer it, I have some of my colleagues that can jump in, and I can approach PTC as well. For sales related questions, there's the email, or you can jump onto our website and get all the contact information there and get in touch with the correct person. Okay, so let's jump into Creo and we'll play around with some components. So I think if you've seen any of the Intelligent Fastener videos maybe before, you'll recognize this plate. It's just a simple assembly, and I can jump around and I can show you everything there is to show on this particular assembly. Then I'll show you a second assembly, which is more like a practical part. But going through the interface and showing all the different bits and pieces, I think this is a great starting point. Yeah, so just quickly on my interface that I've changed. So normally your Intelligent Fastener things won't be in the model tab. By default, it's under Tools, and it's right here on the right-hand side. Okay, so when you start working with it, going into Tools and then starting to select your fasteners and things is a bit of a few extra clicks. I don't like that. So all I've done is I moved it to my model tab, and I've put it nice in the center, close to where I will go and create components or use my normal assembly features. Okay, so you can manipulate that. So if you go to Customize Ribbon, you can go to your Tools tab, and you can just move that to the design assembly stuff, and then from there you can manipulate it to where you want it to be. Right, so mine for now, nice in the middle. It's going to make it nice and easy for me to work, and it's going to make it a lot easier for you to see during the presentation. Okay, so let's quickly look at what we have here. So we've got two plates, two different thicknesses, and we already assembled some bolts to this. Right, so if you look at the interface, so you can start and you can assemble your screws, you can assemble your dowel pins, you can use your normal edit definition, you can reuse it, and then you can suppress, and you can check your screw partners, you can convert it to a library, and then you have your instance creator as well. So if you're going to start using that, that's where you're going to copy things out and reuse them somewhere else. So that's one of the things that you'll use if you've got Windchill going. So you'll take all this stuff, use the instance creator, that's going to load it up into your workspace, and from there you can save it or add it to a Windchill library as well. And then we also have some options. So this is outside of Creo, it's specific to IFX. So for one of the things that I want to show you is that you can use external references, for instance. So if there's a company rule that you can't use external references, then you can set this to no. Okay, so in some cases, those external references is not great, but it depends on how you manage them within Creo, and if you're working within Windchill as well. So the option is there. Okay, so these options specific to Intelligent Fastener. Okay, so I'm going to use the default settings. Nothing funny at this stage. Okay, so let's do a real basic thing. Let's just go and edit definition, what we already have here. So we're going to redefine, use that icon, and you're going to pick what's already there, and that's going to pop up the interface. So it's divided into two sections. So this is just the first window. I'm going to add just a nut in here and some washers. If you click on the plus sign over here, that's going to give you options for counterboards and things like that. Your holes, what should the fit be? So I'm on default on an M5 bolt now, and my holes is going to be 5.3. So that's a tight fit. I can make it medium, or I can make it a free fit, which is a little bit bigger. You can also type in these values. So important thing on the interface, just work it from the left to the right or from the top to the bottom. So you'll select your catalog. So this is all default stuff. I haven't added anything in here. So you've got your normal millimeter stuff. You've got your millimeter ISO. So if you click on the screw that you want to select, you can see it's nicely stacked into certain. It's just a lot easier to access in Creo 5 than it was in previous versions. In previous versions, you just had this long list. Now there's some tabs that you can work with. So just easy to go and select whatever you want to add. Right, so I'm just slowly working through them just to show you what you have. And then these names, you can change them as well. Right, so not everybody know what's a ISO 14579 tubular socket head. Okay, so you can go and you can change all of these naming. You can take some of them out if you're just allowed to use a certain type. You can remove the rest, and you can only have what you need there according to your company standards. And there's the countersinks as well. So really a lot of things in here. If I can quickly show just some of the other standards. Let's just minimize this. So there's your wing bolts and things like that. Eye bolts, everything is already here. So if you need to go and make changes to this, or you need to modify the library when you have the full version, just take one of these, assemble them, you'll save them out, basically creating a copy of it, and from there you just go and edit your text files to what you need it to be. Okay, so let's just go back to what we had in here. Well, I'm just quickly going to cancel that and then just edit it again. So let's take this one, and we want to add a nut in there. So you can see it's giving you this nice 2D preview, and it's sort of giving you like a wireframe in the graphics window as well. So you can see how this thing is going to be affected with the changes that you make. So let's take a washer. So I'm going to add a washer in there. So you can see the washer popped up in the 2D preview, and the washer is in the 3D preview as a wireframe as well. I can add 2 washers if I want to. I can go in there and I can change the washer type. Let's make the second one there. So that's in there as well now. And I can add washers on the bottom side as well. Okay, so that's just how you can go and change that. I'm going to say okay on that. And it will do that for all the bolts. So it added the washers. That's not really making sense at this stage, but I guess you get the point. And I added the nut and the washer at the bottom as well. Okay, so that's something that we've changed that was already there. So let's go and create something from scratch. So I'm going to select my screw that I want to add. It's going to ask me where do you want to put this. So I can select datum axis, datum points, or I can select cylindrical surfaces. So if you already had a hole, you can add that. In this case, what we'll do is we'll let the IFX software add the hole in there. So I'm just going to select a point, and I'm going to tell it where should my screw head be. I want my screw head to be at the top, and then where should the bottom be, and I'm going to select the bottom surface. Okay, so it's showing me those nice arrows where that's going to be, and from there I'm going to specify it. So I can just hit OK if I want to add an M5 bolt in here again, and it's going to create everything that I need. So let's do that. And then I'm going to hide that and show you what happened. So I just added a one in there, so I'm going to hide that, and you can see it created the holes automatically. Okay, so if there was just a bolt going into these plates and I needed to tap the plate, then it will add that information in there. I'll show you that in the second assembly that we'll do. Okay, so that's great. So let's quickly just measure some things in here. So let's see what that diameter is. Okay, so that's the diameter for our M5, and same for the bottom. So it's given us a little bit of clearance in there as well. Okay, so that's just now in inches. Okay, so what I'll do next is I'll delete that. I just need to get back here. Say delete, and we're back to square one. So one of the other things that I want to show you is, so if you guys have been using Creo for a while now, you know, as soon as you use a normal pattern, you pattern your points or your axis, as soon as you assemble something to that pattern, then it will use a reference pattern and assemble everything that was assembled to one of those pattern members. So one of the nice pattern tools is a point pattern. So that's when you want to start, and you basically want to have different dimensions and bits and pieces for that. So you can use a sketch for that. I'm just going to use a normal a point pattern, and then I'm going to say I want to define a sketch. And what that will allow me to do is to go and basically pick where I want certain pattern members. So those dimensions I can drive now. I can put it wherever I want. So where with some of the other patterns, you have a fixed sequence that you have to follow. So all the distances between pattern members and things like that. You can use a table pattern as well. That will give you more or less the same as this, and maybe a little bit more. Where this is just the sketch that you use, a table pattern you can do in various directions. Okay, but for this exercise, this one is great, and we're going to use that to pattern some of our bolts. Okay, so let's go and let's add a screw again, and we're going to use the same point, same surface. And this time we're going to change it up a little bit. So let's use the ISO standard, and we're going to have a, let's use this one. We don't want the, you know what, I've picked the wrong orientation because I wanted to do the counter bore and this plate isn't thick enough. So let's cancel that, and let's start again. And I'm just going to select the top, or I'm going to select the same point, and I'm going to select this surface as my top, and the thin plate is my bottom. And I'm going to remove the washers on the top side. I want to add a counter bore in this. And then I'm going to change the size of the counter bore. I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger. You can see the 2D sketch updating here. I can also change the depth if I need to make it a little bit deeper or a little bit more shallower, depending on what your needs are. And I can hit OK. So now it recognized that that was part of a pattern. So it's asking me, do you want to do that just for this single instance, or do you want to do it for all the pattern members? So I'm just going to say I just want this one in the middle of my plate, and there's the counter bore, the holes and everything is created. But now this, I mean, that bolt size is a little bit wrong. So one of the things that you can use is the check your screw fasteners. So, and it will pick up. So it will say all of these are okay with the washer configuration and the nut configuration I've got. It will say that's okay, but it's going to pick this one and say, well, that's way too long. So easy way to go and fix this is just double click on that. And you can tell it to go and measure. And it's going to take whatever standard you've got, it's going to take a shorter one. And you can just hit OK. And now it says, well, that's the shortest one of that particular standard you've got. And it is 5 mils shorter. I think I had a 25 mil in there. Right. So now if you find shorter ones of this particular standard, that's where you will go into the text files and you will manipulate that and say, well, we can find a 15 millimeter, and that's going to pop up in that particular size or window. Okay, so I think that shows us some of the bolt capabilities. What else do we need to add in here? So let's maybe show you the dimensioning things. So I'm just going to edit definition. This one. Okay, so for this one, we measured the diameter. So you have the ability to go and measure a hole. So if you've got a design from somebody else, the holes was already there. You're not sure what size bolt or thread should go in there. You can go and it will calculate that. So you just say measure the hole. It's going to measure that and it's going to pick a bolt size according from that. Same as what I did with the length. Okay, so I'm just going to cancel that. And let's go to our next assembly. Oh no, I forgot something in here. We need to make a change here. So let's change our plate thickness. So I'm going to take this top plate. And I'm going to take the main extrude. And I'm just going to change the thickness. So let's change that. Let's make it quite drastic. Let's go to 0.5. So, and I'm going to hit regenerate. And you can see the bolts and the washers moved, but the holes and the things did not move with that. Okay, so that's not really great. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to go and check the screw fasteners. And it's going to tell me, well, there's a few that's too short now. I can double click that and I can tell it to, well, measure the length automatically, or I can tell it to use whatever size I want it. So I'm just going to take the shortest one that you can. And that one was part of a pattern. So now you see that bolts is okay again. And then the one in the middle was the counter bore. You need to update that as well. Same story, change that, and okay. So now everything is fine. Okay, so just take a moment and think about how quickly we've done this now. If you haven't used this, you had to go and actually check the physical bolts. Maybe you picked it up in a drawing and then you had to go back to the design and change all the bolts. Okay, so there's some replace functionalities and things like that in Creo that you can use. If you used family tables to do this, then it will get not as quick as this, but it will make it a little bit faster than the normal assembly type method. Okay, so we've changed the bolts here, we've changed the lengths all in one go. Okay, so really quick to go and make those changes, and we had a tool that told us that something was wrong. Okay, so really great, really easy to go and use and to reconfigure if you need to. Okay, so I think that's what I wanted to show on this particular part. Let's go to the next one. So this is a fuel pickup assembly. So once again, we have some datum points that we're going to use to assemble some fasteners. You can use you can create things like datum axes, datum points with the normal methods within Creo. So I just did that beforehand just to save us a little bit of time. So we're going to go and we're going to assemble a screw again. I'm going to tell it where's my top, so or the point. So I'm going to use this point. The top's going to be that one, and my bottom surface is going to be that. Okay, so I want to change this. I want to use a countable. Let's go to the ISO standards. Countersunk, sorry. And then I'm going to use this standard. So it's giving you a nice preview. I just need to go a little bit smaller so you can see that one is way too big for this material thickness. Okay, in 3 give us what we need, and then I can make it a little bit shorter as well. I don't need to go that deep. You can see that's going to go through the material over here. So let's make that a lot shorter. I think an 8mm should do that. So we're going to go 4.5mm into this particular component. My thread depth is going to be 6. I need to drill 8.8. This is millimeters now because I'm in millimeter catalog. And then my drill size for this M3 will need to be 2.5 millimeters. So it's giving you all that information. Okay, and then I want it to be a close fit as well. And I can say I'm happy with that. And I'm just going to, well, yeah, I'm just going to do it for 1 year. And there, that is assembled. So there was no holes or anything in that component. So if I go and I hide that part, you can see my holes and my thread and everything is already there with the sizes and everything. So it made them in both parts. If I open up this component, that hole is there. If I open up the first component, that countersink with the hole is there. Okay, so everything will line up if you use it like this. From the assembly down with the IFX, your holes I'll guarantee that they will line up. Okay, then one of the other options I just quickly want to show you that's new in Creo 5 is the helical coil option. I'm going to use the same method. And you have this insert option over here where you can add helical coils as well. So as soon as I pick that, I can pick, I think this one should be fine for you. So it's going to show you, so exactly with the thread that we've done, it's going to create that insert for you in there as well. I can say, okay, so that's just not a standard type. It's warning me about that, so most probably I need to go and add that into the library if that's something we want to do. And then that's part of a pattern. You give it your size where it should be, and you say, okay. Okay, maybe that one was a little bit too small, but you can add that. Okay, so it's exactly the same principle and exactly the same rules. If I go and I change the thickness of this material or my design change, then you just use your check screw fasteners and it will tell you either everything is okay or it's not okay. You need to make some adjustments. Okay. Okay, so I think that's it from the demo side. I'm going to put my contact details back up again. And then I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes or so to ask a few questions. And then I'll answer them after that 5 minutes. So I'll put myself on mute. So take your time, ask the questions, and I will reply as they come in. Okay, so there's a few good questions that just came in. So I'll start from the top and handle them. So the first question I had, can you show how the fasteners are handled in Windchill? So I'm not connected to a Windchill server right now, but I can quickly show the process. So what you'll be doing is you'll assemble your bolts and all your configuration that you want. So for instance, I've got this particular, or these two now. So what you will do then is you'll go and you will use the instance creator. So as soon as you use that, that's going to allow you to save that components out to a specific folder. So if I was in Windchill, I would have had my workspace over here. I would pick my workspace and it's going to export all of that information to my current workspace. And then from there, you can assign it to a library or to a different folder structure, or you can put it wherever you need it and it's going to grab it from there. Okay, so that's how you would get it into Wintel. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. There's also some documentation available on the PTC knowledge base that will guide you through the process. Okay, so sorry I'm not connected to Wintel at the moment to show you all of that. And then I had the second question: can the holes created at assembly level be changed at part level? Yes, it can. Be careful when you use that. If I open up this component, I can go and I can change these holes, not with the feature that I've created from the assembly level. So you'll see that IFX ID that will tell you that hole was created in an assembly using the IFX tool. Nothing is stopping you from going into flexible modeling and start playing around with these surfaces. That's not the right way of doing it. It depends on what you want to do. When you use, let me go back to the plates. When you assemble those bolts, let's go to this one. Remember, in here you've got the holes that you can adjust in diameter. So try to drive everything from the top level. So as soon as you start playing around with designing with a top-down approach, and you start making changes where it's not driven from the top assembly, then you're going to lose that link somewhere. And the only way to pick it up is if you actually go and look at the model tree of a component that particular hole was changed. So I guess my answer is yes, you can. Is it a good idea? No. Rather drive it from the top assembly where you created that hole. Then we have a question: is IFX a special module that an admin had to install, or does it come with Creo 5? So no, it's installed by default with Creo 5. So you'll have the light version. So if you haven't changed anything in the user interface or in the ribbon, you'll need to go to Tools, and it will be on the right-hand side here at the top. So just go look for it there. You might not have all the options that I had. I worked with the full version in today's webinar. Then the next question was, what about the functionality where you add a fastener to an assembly and it finds existing holes? Okay, so let's quickly test that. Let's delete all of these. Okay, so those holes was created with IFX. Okay, so let's go to the next assembly. So let's see how this hole was created and if it's going to pick that up. So I don't see any patterns here. So let's just quickly see how this is going to react. So I'm a little bit on the fly here. Let's pick that point. That's going to be my top surface and maybe my bottom surface. I'll need to go a lot smaller here. A lot shorter as well. And it looks like it's picking them up, although it's not picking up all of them. So I'll need to investigate that a little bit. I've got your email address here.
I'll get back to this. The way that I can think about doing this now on the fly is if you open up the component and you use flexible modeling and you do a pattern recognition, let's say that. See, that's not gonna. That's not gonna pick that up. I guess there's a way with flexible modeling that you can do that. So you'll recognize that pattern first, or create a pattern from it, and then go and assemble it. That should work. Let me get back to everybody on that one. So I'll check if I can send out an email afterwards to everybody answering that question. I'll need a little bit more time on that. Okay, then the next question was, what's the process for getting our parameters in the fastener to fill out our bill of material in the drawing? Okay, so the nice thing about that is that all the bolts is automatically added to the library or to your bill of material. So if I go tools, bill of material, I'm going to do top level. So this is not in the drawing, but you will see that bolt information. There's the helicoil coil that I've added. All the bolts and all the washers, all of that will be in your bill of material. That brings me to something else that I forgot to mention, is that these are normal Creo parts. So if you go and you open one of them, you can actually go and view the mass properties of it. So it's not just adding it to the bill of material, it will add to the weight of the assembly as well, because the materials and everything is already added in these start parts. So if you go and calculate that, you'll have a mass of, that's about 2.5 grams for that particular bolt. So same for the washers, same for everything that you add with IFX. The mass properties, it will be part of the bill of materials. And from there in the bill of materials, you can filter them out or group them together using normal drawing functionality. Then the next question, can you add part numbers to the hardware? Yes, you can add part numbers to it. It's a normal part. You can add anything in there that you need. So I've closed that bolt now, but if you go into the parameters, you can add it in there. And I think you can add certain tabs in the text files where these files are saved. You can add information in there as well. And the next question, can we use our, can you add hardware? No, let me read that properly. Okay, so can we use our own group library for the hole definitions? We have UDFs or holes that have all the proper dimension tolerances and formatting for proper dimensions in the drawings. Okay, so the intelligent fastener stuff is basically using UDFs in the background as well. So yes, you can, but you'll have to go and take that information that you already have in your UDFs, and you have to take that over to the IFX library. So if you already spent a few hours on creating UDFs, that information unfortunately will have to be carried over to the IFX stuff as well. So you'll have to open up the text files and add that information in there as well.
The next question is, can you add hardware to holes already existing in part files? So you can't do it in part mode. So IFX is only for assemblies. It's using a top-down approach, so only available in assemblies. Okay, so I think I've answered some of those questions. There's a few guys that that have questions on those particular questions. Can I ask you guys to send me an email, and I can take a look at it, maybe talk to you guys and do it in another form. Okay, so I'm just going to put my contact details back up again. So if I didn't answer your questions properly, or if you have questions on those questions, just drop me a mail and we can take it from there. Get extra technical support if needed, if I can't answer that, or even get PTC involved if we need to. Okay, so I don't see any other questions coming in, so I'll be ending the webinar. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope to see you next time. Thank you. Bye.